Thanks for having me here today. I'm just going to move forward on this. Perfect. So, planning practice currently faces a dilemma in how to best involve stakeholders in decision-making processes. This is increasingly true as communities are embedded in the flows of ideas and capital that constantly reshape the social and economic makeup of neighborhoods. This complexity can result in public outcry when stakeholders are unheard, or a lack of transparency in decision-making amplifies misinformation or conflicting individual interests. So can we develop a more effective engagement and consultation to improve planning practice by guiding planners and city officials towards informed, collective, and evidence-based decision-making? And what does that look like? My talk today is going to explore this question. So startup urbanism actually emerged from my own personal experience of currently co-founding a startup called Millia. And in collaboration with my team and my colleague Louisa Yi, a graduate of the School of Architecture and Urbanism at Carleton University, we have been working to conceive a new way for citizens to be informed and participate in the planning and development process. We asked how could new digital tools help citizens stay informed of the rapidly changing planning and development processes around them, and how could they be empowered to participate in that process, and what exactly would that look like? Secondly, startup urbanism emerged from reflections on what seemingly in the past number of years has risen to be the increasing interconnectedness and role of civic technology and the growth of new forms of urban practices, from placemaking initiatives and urban interventions such as tactical, pop-up, or DIY urbanism, in reimagining the centrality of the built form in shaping our everyday lives, and as a vehicle for expressing new forms of urban politics. So, urban densification is increasing with the influx of people to the city. Existing spaces capable of new developments are highly prized and diminishing fast. And since the challenges that cities are facing are pretty numerous and vast, these spaces remain sites of possibility and opportunity to design and construct innovative solutions that respond to what a city needs. If you look here, you'll see two ways that citizens can learn about proposed developments in the city of Ottawa. We have on the one hand a site application and the corresponding website. The biggest barrier here for citizen engagement is the fact that such a site application has one-to-many relationships. This means that the application status may go through multiple changes in the development lifecycle, such as in review, approved, or open for consultation, and so on. Consequently, this creates a huge barrier for entry for citizens to engage in the consultation process. Not to mention a community meeting may have occurred weeks or even months ago. The corresponding website is no less challenging. If you look on the right-hand corner, you'll find that a number of tabs on your browser will fill up very quickly, especially when you try to find out about urban planning and development in Ottawa. But this is not just the case in Ottawa. It's very similar across cities in Canada, which create a number of barriers for entry to seeking information and participating in the planning and development process. At the same time, as we see increasing intensification, we are seeing new placemaking initiatives and a revitalized citizen hunger to be engaged in the design and construction of the built form. With limited options available, citizens in many cities are taking their own course of action to express this sentiment. As we see here examples of parklet design builds, bike path interventions, pop-up cinemas, and revitalized laneways. Other examples include participatory mapping, like My Neighborhood Study in Ottawa, or the mapping of Kibera slums in Kenya, or even the identification of infrastructure problems through apps such as pothole problems and other infrastructure challenges. All this is to say is that the new urban politics is the combined merger of civic technology, which consists of the twin pillars of community-based action and open data, such as policy and standards, and that of existing modes of urban practices and newly emerging ones, facilitated through technology. So just to give you an example, this is a snapshot mapping of civic technology interconnections provided by the Knight Foundation, and I encourage you all to go on there and look at it. Each node actually represents, expands into a number of organizations. Which basically provide you an example of how many different organizations are actually working in those fields. So we have community action and open government, and we have things like crowdfunding, infrastructure, participatory budgeting workshops, visualization and mapping. So yeah, please go on there and check it out. And at the same time, we have a number of civic technology organizations on the rise. So as you can see here, a small sample set of them include PlaySpeak, which is actually based in Vancouver, or you have Commonplace in the UK, you have Blight Status in New Orleans, and even looking on the latest Forum and Angel list, you find that every day there's a new one that's coming into architecture or urban planning or real estate and development. So these emerging startups are incorporating technologies that leverage off the Internet of Things. and the existing technological infrastructure, they are both generating new forms of systems of operations that are capable of disrupting traditional ways of social exchange and transactions. In reacting to obstacles and limitations in the material space, both the informal urban forms and emerging technology companies draw from the combined power of interfacing both with the virtual and material living environment. In technology, the interaction happens when human interfaces with computers, and the users are constantly generating data, where the exchange of such data is enabled by ICT infrastructure and alternative forms of data transmissions. As for example, you guys don't have Uber here, but in Ottawa, when you order an Uber, it has data-specific location, the time, traveling preferences. All of this is collected, where both will help enhance the user experience for the people using those services. So not only the interaction provides conveniences in requesting a service, the user-generated data are informing and improving the functionalities of technology-based services to better serve the users. Similarly, the built environment is inherently a system that resembles the internet, where individuals can interact with each other and exchange knowledge to inform future iterations of the cityscape with others so that the urban environment can be generative and responsive to the needs of its inhabitants. Why not let the collective intelligence of citizens interface the urban through digital tools? Valuable data and sentiments from the communities residing in the urban realm can be further aggregated into effective evidences to aid decision-making at a higher level of governance. By blurring the boundaries between the constructed urban and digital infrastructure, a city that is both smart and socially driven can as well be resilient and responsive as emerging tech services evolve to suit users. So, successful city building demonstrates a commitment to dialogue that engages citizens and connects them to their neighbors, developers, and elected decision makers. This multilateral civic engagement approach helps foster idea sharing and understanding at all stages of a project's life cycle. So my research, in conjunction with my team and this project Millia, supports a shift to cities that invite everyone to live, work, and play. Cities that inspire people to recognize the opportunities embedded in our built environments. So the actual manifestation of my research and project is that we decided to take on the task of building a platform that actually connects people to urban planning and development. So, in brief, Millia is basically a public consultation system designed to cultivate a culture of inclusion and co-creation in urban planning. This system uses crowdsourced knowledge and open data for informed decision-making, with an aim to addressing urban planning's deficit in dialogue, collaboration, and civic engagement. Where urban planning can be a labyrinth of bylaws and conflicting interests, this project seeks to simplify, connect, and empower people. So as you can see here, it's a sort of a simple high-level overview of the workflow. We've created both a web application and a mobile application. And through this, citizens can come on and see all the open site applications in a city. They can choose in which ways they'd like to participate. And through this platform, expectations are made clear, where you can participate and how you can participate. You're connected to the resources, and you're informed about community meetings. At the same time, by creating a workflow of collecting citizen input, we've created a more transparent and accountable system for city planners and officials to collect that data, so that through a project's life cycle, people are informed about that process and know how their comments mattered. Especially in light of new legislation in Ontario, just to give you an example, Bill 73, Smart Growth for Our Communities Act, they had a number of points in there that said that the goal was to collect citizen input and demonstrate how it affected final designs. But that wasn't clear to us when we undertook this project at the beginning of what that looked like, which is part of the reason why we're creating this platform. And part of this is also to increase citizen engagement in the planning development process by simplifying this process. Plus, it will help us identify key infrastructure priorities and crowdsource new ideas. At the same time, we will be advancing an open data standard and building trust and transparency. And ultimately, I think that the most important aspect is building a culture of awakening towards our built environment. And this is just an example of the back-end system that we've created, where city planners and officials and the public can go on and see in real time the data that's generated in conversations about a site, and how we can produce reports from people and cities to make better evidence-based decisions. And currently, we're actually working in Ottawa and Toronto and having a number of deployments. So it's really great to actually see one's research in action, because I think that that's the best part about researching something, is seeing it in action. So I'd like to leave you today with this quote by the Pritzker Prize winner, Alejandro Aravena. And he goes, "We would like to understand what design tools are needed to subvert the forces that privilege the individual gain over the collective benefit, reducing we to just me." And personally, I think that this truly is the challenge we as people living in cities as urbanists, architects, philosophers, policymakers, and every other person face as we move forward in designing and constructing the city of tomorrow. So thank you.